Welcome back, everybody. Doug Burson here, and this BOI thing refuses to go away. On December 31st, the Department of Justice filed an emergency stay with the Supreme Court of the United States, and they're seeking an injunction blocking the enforcement of the CTA. Well, I told you they probably were going to do that, but what if I told you that maybe you don't even have to worry about it at all? What if you were exempt? There are quite a few exemptions, and so I thought I would go through with that because I haven't covered that yet. And maybe, just maybe, you don't have to do it anyway. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, there's quite a few things that are exempt from it in general. And then there's some for maybe lack of activity. And I know that could impact a lot of you guys. So first, I'm going to go through the list of those who are exempt. 1, is your business over $5 million? This doesn't impact you. Why? It's the law. It's not fair, but it is what it is. But if it's over $5 million, you don't have to worry about it. Number 2, what if you're not a corporation or an LLC or an LLP or something like that where you had to file with the Secretary of State of your state to get that set up? Well, if that's you, then bam, you're probably off the hook as well. So if you don't have that, double check, make sure, look at the list. But mostly it's going to be your corporations, your LLCs, your LLPs, your LPs, all those types of things. If you're just a sole proprietor and you've never set up with the state to become some type of an entity, you're probably off the hook. Now, there's also a list of those that are specifically excluded. And the reason for that is normally because they have to report to something else. So I'm going to go through that list with you real quick. Number 1. A securities reporting issuer, a governmental authority, a bank, a credit union, a depository institution holding company, broker or dealer in securities. I think you're starting to see a pattern here. Security exchange or clearing agency, other exchange act registered entity, an investment company or an investment advisor, a venture capital fund advisor, an insurance company, a state licensed insurance producer, just a couple more, stay with me, Commodity Exchange Act registered entity, an accounting firm, a public utility, a financial market utility, a tax exempt entity, think nonprofits, or a large operating company. That's at above $5 million. So what you saw there is a lot of financial institutions, insurance, banking, accounting, things that have to report to another regulatory body. That's why those aren't there, because they're already being overseen by somebody else. But the one that's going to impact a lot of you is, what about if your entity isn't doing anything? So in other words, you set up an LLC years ago and you've never done anything with it. Or you set up your LLC years ago, you had a business, you've closed that business, and you just have a dormant LLC. Do you have to file? Let's look. There's a really good list here. It might be worth going back and looking at on your own if you think this is you. L2 on the FAQs. And what it says is, what are the criteria for an inactive entity exemption from the beneficial ownership reporting requirements? So, what are they? Well, 1, was it in existence before January 1, 2020? And you have to fill all 6 of these. I'm putting them up on the screen so you can look at them closely. January 1st, 2020. Was it not engaged in active business? Once again, remember that business that you went and got the LLC, but you never did anything with it. Or it's an entity that you closed down years ago and you just never bothered to get with the Secretary of State and close it down. Not owned by a foreign person. So even if it's dormant, if you have a foreign owner, you still got to file. Entity has not experienced any change in ownership in the preceding 12-month period. So let's say you had a dormant LLC and you said, hey, Doug, you want this? Well, I'm not doing anything with it. And I say, sure, I'll give you $20 for it. And I buy it. We now have a problem because it's exchanged hands within the last 12 months. I got to file. The entity has not sent or received any funds in the amount greater than $1,000, either directly or through a financial account, in the last 12 months. So in other words, you've got this LLC, you're not doing anything with it, but $1,000 just went through the bank account in the last 12 months. We got a problem. Now we got to look at it. You're probably going to have to file. The entity does not otherwise hold any assets. And this is where people might get messed up. So you've got an LLC and it's holding assets, but you're not really doing anything with it. Well, in order for it to be exempt, this FAQ says it has to be all 6. So there you have it. Had to be before 2020, not actively in business, not owned by a foreign person, no change of ownership in the last 12 months, $1,000 has not gone through it, and it doesn't hold any assets. So for those of you who are really worried about this, but you have an LLC out there that you aren't doing anything with it, there is your way out of doing the BOI. But just know, if any of these 6 change, you're going to have to file the BOI report. Now, once again, with all that being said, I want to be clear. Right now, there is no filing requirement. That stay is still in force. But the way this thing is going, I just wanted to get this out there because this thing is flipping back and forth and making us all crazy. I wanted you guys to know, if you didn't have to worry about it, I wanted to let you off the hook. But if this didn't fix your problem, make sure you subscribe, stay tuned. Who knows what's going to happen over the next few months. Talk to you later.